Welcome to the Life Turkey podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Life of Junkies podcast, episode 17, the WWE NXT Takeover Toronto and SummerSlam preview. I am joined by Chris Johnson. Hello, Chris.
Hiya, mate. How's it going?
I'm good, mate. You?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you.
This is proof that persistence pays off in this world. So I've been bugging Chris every week to come on this podcast because you come on podcast. All right, I'll do it. In a fit of rage, so I've got him on.
It wasn't that bad, mate. I have had other things on. It's not like I've been avoiding you. I have been avoiding you, but I've been trying to make it look like I haven't been.
That's my life, basically. So talking about you've been avoiding me, these things that you've been pretending to do. You pretended to go to Northern Ireland to record golf, that I don't believe happened.
Yes, although I wasn't pretending on that thing. It was quite a major sporting event. Probably one of the biggest sporting events this country holds every year in Royal Portrush.
And did you get to play any golf over there?
I did get to play some golf, thankfully. My reporter wangled us a game at a very swanky golf club called Castle Rock. And we went and played one morning, and it was excellent. Beautiful course, really tough playing links golf because I'm not the best golfer, so anywhere wayward and your ball was lost, so I got through a fair few golf balls that day.
You're saying you're not the best golfer. You obviously haven't seen me play golf.
True, that is very true.
I'm this time I'm not going to ask you what Open it was because I wouldn't make myself look that stupid ever.
No, of course not, mate. You'll know all about the Open, don't you?
This is the point where we have to admit that we've just recorded this opening and the start of part 1 of a podcast, and then realised that neither of us, say not one of us if there's loads of us, neither of us had pressed record on our recording software, so neither of us recorded it.
Schoolboy
really
errors.
Useful.
Yeah.
It's good that both of us made the same mistake, so we can't get annoyed with the other one.
Very true. Imagine if we got through the whole podcast and realised.
No,
there wouldn't have been a SummerSlam preview podcast.
There would have been a very quick one with me doing it tomorrow night or something. We also, what we talked about before was what you are doing tomorrow. Tomorrow, of course, is the UK transfer deadline day. Is this the first time we've had transfer deadline day at the start of the season? Did we do it last year?
No. Last year was the first time we had it before a ball was kicked.
Yeah. Yes. So this is the second time.
Yeah, before then it was always like the last day of all. But the football clubs decided, or Premier League clubs decided, that they would rather have their squads finalised before they go into the season. So tomorrow, it's actually an early deadline as well, so tomorrow's a 5 p.m. deadline rather than the 11 p.m.
That's got to be better for you though, isn't it?
Yeah, although clubs always find a way to get extensions for paperwork and drag it out and not announcing. So, but hopefully the latest I'll be out is 7, 8 o'clock tomorrow night, so it's not too...
Yeah, the old fax machine stopped working story.
Yeah.
Like, who uses fax machines anymore?
I know, it's incredible. But yeah, on transfer deadline day, it's the only day the fax machines come out, unfortunately.
Just so they can get that excuse through.
Yeah, that's exactly why I can't get the fax machine to work. But it's a good day, it's an entertaining day for the fans and for people who work on it. You're just chasing stories and hoping things come off and waiting for people to arrive at airports and then do the medicals. Sometimes deals fall through at the last minute. One year I remember being at Manchester United at 1 o'clock in the morning waiting for them to announce the signing of Radamel Falcao. We'd filmed him arriving at like 7 p.m. that night, and I'd heard, and eventually at 1 a.m. they got it over the line and signed him. So yeah, it can be exciting.
I presume it's a lot more enjoyable to be doing it this transfer window than in January when it's a bit colder.
Yeah, when it's dark and cold. Yeah, so hopefully tomorrow it'll stay dry and a bit of report on.
And you are covering the whole north east.
No, actually, it's the Northwest. It's a great attempt. Just to put that, he got that wrong on the first attempt as well. Even though I've now told him 3 times, it's the Northwest. Because obviously in the Northwest we have 4 major clubs: United, Manchester City, Liverpool, and Everton. There's also Burnley, so you've got 5 clubs trying to do business on one day. And obviously Manchester United, Man City, they're the big one. Northwest. We'll be all over it tomorrow.
Brilliant. So, one more random question has just popped into my head while you've been talking. When you get the fans appearing behind whichever reporter you're working with, do you know who you're working with tomorrow?
Yes, a gentleman called Alan Myers. He was the Everton press officer at one point. He was like director of football at Blackburn Rovers. He's a lovely guy. He's a big Everton fan. And yeah, it's me and Alan. So Alan's very old school. So if there's a story out there, then he's the man to track it down and find out all about it.
After you just talked very glowingly about the reporter you're working with, I'm going to ask you a silly question. When you get fans with objects that maybe should be left in the bedroom appearing, as
yes,
seems to be a fairly regular appearance on transfer deadline day,
yes.
What is your personal reaction? Is it, this is going to be, this will get people watching this video, or is it, oh God, not again?
Well, now fans aren't allowed anywhere near when we do them. So they used to keep us outside stadiums and training grounds. There's now been an agreement that we can film inside the stadium or the training ground to keep fans away, basically, because the gentleman that happened to, the incident you're talking about, is Alan Irwin, was a lovely guy, like such a great guy. I really felt for him because he had no idea what was going on. But because of that, and because of incidents that happened at Crystal Palace with banners, things being set on fire, it was decided that transfer deadline day reporters could go inside training grounds and stadiums, as long as that particular camera didn't film anything like players coming and going. So it was a deal reached, and that's the case from on. So
do you have other cameramen that do the filming of people coming and going?
Yes, outside.
But you're too important for that.
No, I do some of that as well. So basically all it means is whatever the cameras that the reporter's using is just for the reporter. It can't film people going in and out of buildings, so that has to be done off their premises. So you have to have another camera outside if you're trying to get around.
All very exciting. But we're not here to talk about football or golf, are we? We are here to talk wrestling, and this is the first wrestling podcast we've sat down to do with each other since WrestleMania.
Is it? No. Is it?
Yes.
When was WrestleMania?
At the same time same time in the year is every year.
It's about March time.
It's a start of April. I think it was like April the 7th or 8th. Well, I've addressed why I've had a break from the podcast, and of course, yeah, Chris is a busy man, and he's not just going to randomly do my podcast for me. So that's why Chris has been away, and of course you've been away a little bit. This is my chance to apologise to you on podcast for the WrestleMania preview episode. I think I've already apologised to you over text. Some people may not have seen that I released a WrestleMania review podcast on YouTube on Saturday. So that is now up as part of our back catalogue, but we are missing episode 14, which is the WrestleMania review. What has happened is, while I was unable to edit it, it had been sat in my downloads, and not long before I started this up again, I cleared my downloads because I was running out of space on my laptop, without thinking about it and without taking it out. So I've lost all of Chris's audio on that podcast. I will still try and get something out.
Some people say that's the best part as well.
Some people, I would probably agree with those people. I got upset on the podcast I did with Dave. I got annoyed with how much I talked compared to how much he talked. So there you go. But yeah, so I will cobble something together, but it's going to be a long editing job on that. And it'll probably end up being like half an hour long. That we sat down, we recorded for a long time with that podcast because that was a long show.
It was.
So it just so happened that I realised about a week or so later that I deleted it, and I messaged Chris, you haven't still got it, have you? And he had just deleted his copy of it.
Literally.
So, yeah, I'll get something. And I had a really good Kofi Kingston rant on that. I think I remember it being really good. If I get to edit it and it is as good as I thought it was, it will still be in a podcast, but I will make that its own separate, shorter video. And I will talk a little bit about that Kofi Kingston rant tonight. Let's take a quick break and we'll come back to talk about NXT Takeover.
This is a life-changing podcast.
And we are back, and we are here to talk about NXT Takeover Toronto. We start with a match that is a rarity in WWE, even though I'm going to be talking about two of them tonight. This is a women's match with no gimmick, no title on the line, nothing. It's just two women being allowed to show what they can do. And these are actually two pretty good female wrestlers. It's Candice LeRae, who is the better half of Johnny Gargano, and Io Shirai, who was the runner-up? No, was she semi-finalist at least in the last Mae Young Classic?
Possibly. Possibly. I've seen a bit of them over the last few weeks, but as far as my knowledge.
So Candice LeRae came in sort of as a valet to Johnny Gargano. She's never been a proper valet, not in the way that it's Zelina Vega muted next to Andrade Cien Almas. So she's been there, and he's been able to bounce off her in certain aspects. For example, when he was going through the bad Johnny storyline, she was there for him to bounce off to show her concern about him and to help bring us in. But I think she was brought in mainly first to counterbalance Zelina Vega in the Andrade rivalry, and then she moved on to help him in the rivalry with Ciampa. Yeah, and so it's been slowly. I thought when I saw her, I'm about to say the same words that I said earlier when you turned around and went, mate, I haven't been recording this podcast. I thought you were just really enthusiastically disagreeing with my point that I was making.
I probably was as well, but I was just...
So when she came in, I thought, okay, they're going to push this girl big because she's got that sort of thing about women WWE loves. She's blonde, she's got that all-American girlness about her. I thought, this is someone that they're going to push. And she sort of hasn't. She sort of simmered along in the background, had a few sort of mini feuds, but not really. But then you start to realise that she's not the sort of girl that WWE loves. She's the sort of girl that Vince McMahon loves, as you see with Lacey Evans being pushed far more than she needs to be. Triple H, maybe someone that's a bit more sensible. He's more than happy pushing your Bayley types, or your Ember Moon types, or your Asuka types. Someone like Candice LeRae, quite reasonably, is going to sit and do her time in the roster as they would do with a new male wrestler coming in, as they sort of do with women wrestlers. I know our women's title match challenger has been hot-shotted into main event, but this has been a bit of a slow burn. Candice LeRae was, as she moved away from Johnny, she's been backing up Io Shirai against Baszler. I thought they were positioned enough for it to be the next women's title challenger, but of course they're going through this first. And there's the flashpoint, the turn point of Io Shirai turn heel was when I think it was after a cage match with Baszler. She lost, and Candice came out to make sure she was alright, and she ended up hitting her with a chair.
Yes, she did a move onto a chair. It wasn't she set it all up. Did a move onto the chair. It
feels like it was a long time ago, and I don't know what takeover it was, where it was, but it feels like this is sort
New
of
York, wasn't
bubbling.
Takeover New York.
Takeover New York. She had a singles match with Baszler. So I don't know if that was. I've got that up against me, but I don't want to just stop recording for a bit and read it.
No.
When you start talking, because I never listen to you anyway, I'll probably read it.
Nobody does, mate. You could be my wife saying that.
And you can say that because she definitely will not be listening to this podcast.
Definitely.
When I did the old Remote Gamers podcast, one of my mates that came on regularly, his girlfriend at the time very much did listen to the podcast. He made a similar joke about her in a lot of trouble. So I don't know if you've got any thoughts about this match or on any of the two participants.
I don't know. Obviously, the only thing I really know about Candice, the Io Shirai, I thought she looked quite decent over the last 5-6 weeks. She disappeared off TV last few weeks, but before then, I thought she looked good. And obviously, she had a really good match with Baszler, where she snapped at the end of it and ended up actually leaving the ring like standing tall, even though she lost the match. Then she had the cage match where again she all but won the title. Had Baszler not fallen over to get out of the cage, she snapped again. Then obviously, like we just spoke about. I don't know. I know. I don't see her losing this match. I think there's a bit of a backstory behind her. They're trying to build something. I think she wins this one.
Well, I've got Candice LeRae down to win because I feel this is going to be the start of her big push. Who is it that's gone up with Paige onto SmackDown, her tag team?
One who likes to be a pirate.
And who's her partner?
Asuka.
Asuka's her partner. Okay. Yeah. You can tell this is me now admitting I don't watch SmackDown or Raw.
But one who wants to be a pirate. That's the one. What's it called?
Carrie Sane. Is the pirate girl. It's an awful gimmick. It really is.
But she still kept it.
Of course she's kept the gimmick because Vince McMahon loves that sort. So I thought it was going to be Io Shirai and Carrie Sane going up to SmackDown as pages. So I was surprised she's still here. I don't see a space for any women really.
Yeah.
The only one that could possibly move up would be Shayna Baszler, but she at the moment she'd just get lost in the shuffle up there because it needs to die down a bit, and they need to put some sort of structure in place, because sort of it seems to be just all over the place at the moment. Which, in fairness, there's been the same issue with the men's as well at certain points. But no, I have Candice LeRae to win. So I'll be honest, Chris, because you've never really been a big NXT watcher. I know you've enjoyed the takeovers, but you've never actually got to take your time to. When we sat down, and me and you have got pretty opposite all the way down until the last match, I thought you just sat down and gone against whatever I'd put.
Yeah, that's what a sensible.
I think you'll find, as we revealed on the Wrestlemania review, that no one will ever hear again.
Exactly. So that's
I beat you
fake
on
news.
the important
Fake
matches.
News.
4-0, wasn't it? On the 3-0 on the three main matches.
At the end, I think all the big. I think I might have won.
I won all the big ones. You won a majority of the little ones. So overall, you beat me. But it was the important ones that we were talking about: Becky Lynch, Seth Rollins,
nothing ever.
Kofi, Kingston.
That's one of the reasons I deleted my audio file. But yeah, I that was my only thinking is why she have gone again.
I'm just thinking of who I think they'll push. I think they're moving Candice for a big push, and her getting the win here. It might even end up being by DQ with Shirai stabbing and battering her, moving on to a bigger match, maybe a next takeover or something.
Maybe, but if that happens, I'm claiming that as my disqualification. Victories don't count.
So they do count. That's a victory.
Really.
In the history, in the history books, that goes. If Shirai hits Candice LeRae with a chair and gets disqualified, that goes down in history books as a win for Candice LeRae. It doesn't matter who's physically stood tall at the end of it. It's about getting that win.
It should,
but it doesn't. Not how life works.
Alright, mate.
On to the NXT Tag Team titles. This is the Undisputed Era versus the Street Profits. I used to be very anti-Street Profits. I'm sure I said this on a podcast. Yes. I used to be quite anti.
But you hate all good NXT tag teams
until they win the titles, and then
until they win titles. Then you suddenly realise that they're not that bad actually. So you've had the Viking Raiders, Heavy Machinery, and the Street Profits. You haven't liked any of them until they've won the titles.
Heavy Machinery.
Well, until they moved up then. And
I still don't like Heavy Machinery.
I don't know. I didn't like them at first, but they've grown on me now.
Anyway. Like, they're nice and fun, but they could have done with more time in NXT. They should be in NXT now.
I would probably agree.
And I said this is what I said. I listened to that because you're number one fan when you're not on the podcast.
I have listened to that, and it's about an hour of you dissing me.
Well, how's that any different to when you're on the podcast?
Very true.
It's just me. It's whether I'm dissing you to your face or whether I'm dissing you
exactly.
for you to listen to later.
It's to my face. It's to my face I can take.
I don't know. I was probably drunk. Yeah. So the Street Profits, I've warmed to them a lot. I used to find them really irritating, and they used to do stuff like they had a tag team. I can't remember what the names of them are. They were a jobber team, basically, but there were two rich men. Oh, we are rich and we are better than you. They're that. But you think second rate? What was his name? The Mexican wrestler that came in the car, Alberto.
Del Rio.
Yeah, Del Rio. They were like second rate versions of him. And
what happened to Alberto Del Rio?
He started dating Paige. Started getting drunk a lot. They were dating. Paige lost a lot of weight and looked like she was on heavy drugs. This is when she was away from WWE for ages, and then he signed with Impact and kept having a go about Triple H.
Is that where he is now then?
No, even they got rid of him. I think he's brought an MMA company in Mexico. Anyway, he's bad news. It seems it wasn't him and the Paige relationship didn't seem to be particularly healthy. So they're doing stuff like damaging the car and just being really irritating. I found them more irritating than anything, and I think that seemed to resonate because they were having this little this push at the start as if they were going to be the next team moved up, and then that stopped and they stalled a bit. They were trading wins with teams like TM45, who when they turned heel became the Mighty, and then suddenly they rocketed them up to the top of the card, and since then the promos have been really good, and I've seen some of the promos they've been doing on Raw. Chris, you probably would have seen those as well. I think some of them have been quite good.
They've been decent, a bit different. I think Paul Heyman likes them, given he's now in control of so brought them up, gives them a lot of.
Well, from what I've heard, this whole thing with them, they've decided that they're not going to bring them up yet. But this whole thing with them appearing on Raw seems to be, like someone licking an apple because they want that apple. This is mine. I'm keeping this here.
Yeah.
So you can't have it when it's ready. You can't have it.
Something.
But my issue with Street Profits was never with them personally. My issue with War Raiders was with them and what they were doing. But my issues with Street Profits has been how they've been booked rather than them themselves. They've always been very talented in the ring and good promo makers.
Yeah, good on the mic. Good
Yeah.
mic work.
But yeah, it was how they were booked. Now they're booking them like champions, so they're more entertaining.
Saying all that, I think they will eventually get moved up.
I think
Genuinely, I think they've been on TV too much now and not wrestle. They either have to they have to let them wrestle on Raw.
I think, and I've been saying this for about a year, that the Undisputed Era are going to go up fairly soon, and I'm picking the Street Profits.
Okay. You see, I've picked the Undisputed Era just because I think they're going to let the Street Profits move up and make the Undisputed Era back to being Undisputed 2 titles.
We'll find out. This could be an interesting review podcast if I can get you to come on.
If
You can't think of an excuse.
Yeah.
So, next is the NXT North American title with my man Pete Dunne versus Roderick Strong versus the champion Velveteen Dream. This is one that the Roderick Strong and Velveteen Dream has been going back and forth for the last few weeks, and then suddenly last week they chucked in Pete Dunne, who is one of those that you always suddenly gets your attention. Dunne, of course, tag teamed with Roderick Strong, and then Roderick Strong turned on him to join the Undisputed Era. I'm really looking forward to this, and it's not just because it's got Pete Dunne in it, because it's also got Velveteen Dream.
True. So was Pete Dunne in Undisputed Era?
No. Pete Dunne was feuding.
I was sure last week on NXT they said he was a former member.
No, last week on NXT they said Roderick Strong's former tag team partner.
Ah, yes.
Because they were tag teaming together, and I that stood out to me, that line, because I don't feel they were ever a proper tag team. They were two people that were watching each other's back for a little bit, but they never got a tag team run. They never had a long run as a tag team. It was leading up to an event, and then at the event, Roderick Strong portrayed Pete Dunne. So yeah, if you're looking at Pete Dunne's tag team partners or his stable, to use an old WWE terminology, he is part of British Strong Style, who are at the moment feuding in NXT UK with Walter's stable, who have a name. I can't remember the name, but that's quite interesting down there.
Yeah, I've not really up on that at all.
What's quite interesting is Pete Dunne's here doing his stuff on NXT, and yet the storyline in NXT UK at the moment is that Tyler Bate has been taken out, and the other member of Moustache Mountain and British Strong Style, his name blanks on me at the moment, but he did the whole I am here to defend British Strong Style's honour even if it's just me. You think logically Pete Dunne would be going down there to help him out, but no, he's here chasing a title. So that's the continuity between the two brands, but I don't know how much the writing teams of both of them communicate or anything like that. So yeah, I'm picking Pete Dunne because I will never see a Pete Dunne match that I will not pick him for, apart from his last match against Walter.
You see, I'm not picking. I don't like him. I just don't get it. I don't get the whole Pete
Dunne.
I don't like his look. I don't like how he's in the ring. I don't like the whole finger bending crap. It's just not for me at all. I just don't get it. The whole thing about his look, I thought exactly the same thing when I first saw him on the very first UK tournament, but he grew on me very quickly, and it was obvious from the way they booked him on that tournament that he was going to be a thing, because they did a gimmick where he came out and beat up his opponent in the next round after his opponent had won the match to qualify for it. And then there's this thing of William Regal wanted to kick him out or something, but Triple H, he was talking about Triple H and all this and that and whatever else. So he's watching him. He quite quickly grew on me. But if you're not enjoying his wrestling and what he's doing in there, then you're not going to warm to him as a character or his look or anything like that. No, true. I wondered if he would join back up with Roderick Strong, as in join the Undisputed Era.
Well, no, I can't see it happening at all.
No.
Because I don't think they need another person. They've got 4 people already. So how many people really do they need, especially in NXT, where there's only so many targets for them to go for? Someone like Pete Dunne has name value. He was the longest reigning champion. Something stupid like 600 and something days. He was the NXT UK champion.
Yeah.
So he's got of nearly anybody else in NXT. He has a name value. To me, he is just under Cole and Gargano. You go Cole, Gargano, done. Yeah.
Wow.
No one else has got that. He had that over 600 days. I think he had that title.
Don't know.
Or around 600
I'd rather
days.
see some. I'd rather watch something like Velveteen Dream.
That's nearly 2 years.
The Dream is
Yeah,
bigger
but if
name
you're
than him.
if you're doing, do you remember where you used to do the old power rankings? It's like the top 25 wrestlers. I remember when I was younger, I used to every week I'd wait for it to come out. Like, oh, who's moved up and who's moved down? God, I was such a nerd. Like, I'm a nerd now, but I was worse then. But I would have him as third dangerous looking champion. But of course, you've gone for Roderick Strong. Reason you've gone against Velveteen Dream?
He's been a champ for a while. I'm just wondering if they're going to put a bit more gold into the Undisputed Era. Pretty much like they have with the OC roster. Maybe they're just going to drop some more gold in.
But then what happens to Dream? Are you moving them up to the NXT main event picture? Or are you moving up to main roster?
I think that's what would happen. I think because they've obviously brought Tyler Breeze in. They've got, I forgot his name, what's it called? The guy who comes out with the no shoes on. Bro.
Oh, Matt Riddle.
Matt Riddle. So you've got, for North American title, you've got Matt Riddle. You could have Tyler Breeze. You've now got Pete Dunne. There's a few people there. You could move Velveteen Dream up so there's a new face in that top ranked bit. Because you can't, again, it's Gargano again with Cole. So but for the next takeover, they need a new face in there. Obviously, Ciampa's coming back as well. So I just think they need to build it up, and I think that he's the logical choice.
I will mention Ciampa coming up when we get to the final match on this card.
Okay.
But before we get there, first of all, actually, before we leave this match, I was just thinking about, imagine Velveteen Dream going up to the main roster. Imagine how Vince would book him. Like, he would be the next Santino Marella, wouldn't he? He would be a game of Santino Marella.
I think because it looks like Vince is stepping away, doesn't it, very soon to do XFL. So maybe that'll be the point it comes up.
Do you think he will? Because he doesn't seem to be relinquishing any control, and he's still walking and rewriting SmackDown 3 hours before it airs.
Yeah, but I think he has to if he wants XFL to work this time. So I think he will step away. I think that's why Bischoff's in. That's why him. I think he's on his final throws. Steps out of the way. Then maybe.
It's just, do you remember how we win Goldust? Because you can't skip Velveteen Dream is a very similar gimmick to Goldust in the way that they are both very camp. I don't know, camp. You see a buffet, but maybe it's the wrong word, but I can't think of the right word, I guess. But they've both got that homosexuality to them.
Yeah.
And when Goldust first came in, the way Vince booked it was, boo him, he's gay. That was basically the booking. It was he makes you feel uncomfortable, and no, you wouldn't. They wouldn't be that stupid to do that now. You wouldn't get away with it at all. But this is the same man that booked that. Yeah. He booked it as in, this man makes you feel uncomfortable. Boo him for being different. And no, in the day that WWE is fronting anti-bullying campaigns and the like, they wouldn't dare try and get away with that. But that gives you a little image into the way he views it.
Yeah, but then again, I think with something like that now,
they would. But can you trust someone that booked that in the past to responsibly book Dream now? Because he wouldn't make him. He wouldn't book it to say no. But would he make it into, he's gay, laugh at him? And let's point this out, that Dream is not explicitly a gay character. It's never been stated he is gay. I don't believe a wrestler is gay. And I think this Dream is all his work as well. This is all his idea, and he's having fun with it. But no, it's got that vibe to it. And it's for someone that has been against all odds as well, because one thing you don't tend to get is WWE made products don't tend to be brilliant on NXT. Most of the guys that do well in NXT are guys that have history in the indies or elsewhere. Finn Balor, Adam Cole, Johnny Gargano, Ciampa, Black. These are all guys that made their names in the indie. Dream is all WWE. He hasn't done nothing anywhere else, pretty much. He might have had, 1 or 2 shows, but he is as WWE as they get. The last guy that was proper WWE that they pushed up was Baron Corbin, and he did nothing in NXT. Not really. He won matches, but he didn't win any titles. He wasn't people didn't even really like him. He was...
I think it's a while, I don't think I generally... Well, I'm not saying he'll win it, but...
Right, so moving on. I meant to only casually mention that, and we ended up talking about it for a while. NXT Women's Title, Mia Yim versus Shayna Baszler. You've gone for Mia Yim to win this one. What about Mia Yim makes you think she's winning?
I think it's time for a change. I think Mia Yim, girl with the ponytail.
Bianca Belair.
She's been her twice. I might have been her twice, back-to-back week. I'm won well, and obviously Belair was. I just think maybe now is the time going to take the time. And they've actually given a real commentator. They're trying to build a character. I just think it's time. I think it's about right now. What will happen? Will it be a clean win? Possibly. But to keep Baszler, not record, but keep her. It's time for.
If you're taking the title off Baszler, you're not moving her up to main roster.
I would actually.
The way they've booked her, can you do anything other than have her go or have that title? Because she's got this fixation on it's not just I've won the title, yay. She has a real fixation on the title.
Yeah,
and
but
she's big enough and strong enough to beat anyone she wants. Anyone.
Unless, like I said, it's not a clean win and there's somebody like a Belair or somebody who does something who comes out and does something that's why she loses the title. And if you're keeping her down, then she's got a running feud with somebody away from the title picture for a bit. You know, or you move her up, like I said. I mean, I would move her up because I think there's a lot of women in the main roster, but there's not a lot of characters, not a lot of stories. And she will be a good one to do that with, especially with seeing as there's no Ronda Rousey.
You imagine her going up and just destroying women, like going up and proper like taking out
Bayley,
Carmella. No, you don't go. She doesn't go straight to Bayley.
But she's a terrible champion, and I just think, why not? Yeah. Why not just go straight for it?
Right. We're going to address that comment later.
Okay.
But for now, we should not have Baszler go up and be the anti-diva. So all the diva-esque women's wrestlers they still have on the roster.
Yeah,
she goes up and just beats the hell out of them. So you're looking at Carmella and the Iconics, because they are, the Iconics are wrestlers and not models that have got into wrestling now. They still have that diva aesthetic to them.
Yeah.
Lacey Evans, Mandy Rose. That could be really interesting because then she'd come up against Sonya Deville, and so that would, because with Deville with her MMA background, while she's knowing it, I think Baszler is a lot more accomplished than she is. It still would be an interesting matchup, and you could have that where she's just going through them, and that keeps her busy for a bit and keeps her away from the title while you're letting other people have their chance, and then she can go up against Becky Lynch, who would be my choice to have her go up against.
Possibly, yeah.
And then she gets the big win over Lynch, and then that elevates her. She is now suddenly a women's main eventer. Done.
Yeah. I'd be happy for it to move. I would have been for a while now.
But this is that's wrestling basics, because what you're then doing is Becky Lynch has got that title, and Becky Lynch has got the star power. We know but she could carry herself with that title, but you keep her winning with that title. She builds up that, so that person that finally beats her is elevated and hated, gets her all of the heat.
Yeah.
And then she keeps it for a bit, like she has in NXT. So that means they won't do it because we're both in agreement that would work. I've got Baszler winning this one. I don't see Mia Yim as anything other than how they used to have transitional champions.
Yeah.
Well, she's a transitional challenger. She's there just to keep that seat warm.
Yeah, the only reason I'm thinking different is because
Candice.
Obviously they've gave her a bit of a back. They've let her beat Belair twice. They've gave her a little bit of mic time. Maybe there is something nice. Mainly a bit of a punt, that, to be honest. Mainly a punt that I'm hoping to move Baszler out of NXT, but we'll see.
Random fact, and I realise I'm running the risk of having women on this defined by the partner, but Mia Yim is the better half of Shelton Benjamin. I think that's quite a nice random fact. They do say it every time she comes out. Because they definitely still define the women by the male partner.
Yeah.
But no, she is the other half, or she was at one point, I believe. I might be completely wrong about this. I'm sure she was. But no, I think they've sort of hot-shotted her, given her a few wins into the title, like they have another women's wrestler against another for a title on the main roster. Hot-shotted her in just to keep it busy for a bit while they're manoeuvring other people around who are actually going to move up. And I think it'll be Candice who will move up to challenge, and I think Candice will be the one that eventually beats Baszler.
Wow, that's terrible. It's just terrible.
Oh, if you hate it, then that means it's definitely going to happen. If we've learned anyone.
Terrible.
Why is it terrible?
Because she's in the same league. You're talking about Bezos put away people like Bella and Shirai, decent wrestlers, and then you've got this Candice LeRae who just is on there basically because she's Gargano's other half.
I don't think she's on because she's got Gargano's other half. I think in general, when she's been a wrestler on the Indies, she's held her own as a women's wrestler, which is why they haven't. And what they Candice, really, they haven't ever had her, as I said earlier, valet Gargano. She hasn't been that sort of girlfriend. She is his girlfriend because she helped him out in a feud, and they've used her to add some emotional weight to his decisions or storylines or whatever else. But no, that's why she has done her own thing because she's got that to her, and I think they'll see it as she's plucky, she's got heart, and that heart will overcome Baszler.
Oh, we'll see.
Well, there you go. We've disagreed on every single one so far, so shall we find something to agree on?
Yes.
Adam Cole is going to beat Johnny Gargano for the NXT Men's Title.
Every day of the week.
So this one is a 2 out of 3 falls match, where Cole and Gargano both choose the first 2 falls. That's a singles match for Adam Cole, and it's a street fight for Johnny Gargano. And then William Regal, and this is the way they frame it. If it's a draw after the first 2 falls, then William Regal will choose the third stipulation. Chris, do you think it's going to be a draw after the first 2 falls?
Yes, but I think Gargano Cole will end up winning the street fight.
Well,
and then
you've
Regal...
got to think that Undisputed Era are going to come down in the street fight and get involved, surely, even though they've got matches earlier in the night.
Yeah, and then the third fall...
Cage match.
No.
Cage match.
Has he said that?
No, but I think it'll be a cage match. This is the logical. You could do a singles match first.
You only know it's a cage match. There's a big cage floating above the ring. I don't think it'll be that because it gives it away.
Yeah, because they've never done that before.
No, you should just give it away on that what it is. So I think
it'll be Cole for the singles match. It's a singles match. Blah blah blah. Gargano wins. In a street fight, Gargano gets the upper hand, and he's looking like he's going to win. Cole panics, signals. Undisputed Era come down, beat down Gargano. Boom, get the win. Yeah. Regal comes out and goes, right, I've had enough of you guys messing with this. For the third fall, it's just going to be you two in a steel cage match. Cage comes down, boom. Then Undisputed Era stuck outside watching. Well, hang on, I'm convincing myself that Gargano's going to win this now. Though first I watched it while Cole ends up getting the victory.
I don't think they'll do that. I don't think they'll have a cage there on.
But you've got to a submission match isn't elevating it from a street fight. You've got to go something that's beyond the street fight.
No, you haven't. It's not that. It's just 3 falls. You don't have to. And I just think he'll come out, like you said, and he'll send the rest to the back, and nobody will be allowed to interfere, and it'll be a sort of beat. I hope so anyway. I like him.
So even on the match that me and you are meant to be agreeing on, we've still found something to disagree on.
Yeah.
This has come past, and you've been watching it as well, but after Cole has sort of seemingly been on a tour to try to humiliate Gargano.
He'd actually been over here, hadn't he? He'd been in the UK, hadn't
he came to the UK, wrestled at the Download Festival, in which they recorded, because that was NXT UK, they recorded at the Download Festival. They have got a lot of, I don't know how long those matches were, but they have got a lot of matches from that. A lot of weeks worth of TV from it. You go, God, there's still a Download. And so he came over to the UK, and then he came back, and they did the big thing about him being over in the UK, coming back, and he went straight to the Gargano sandwich shop.
Yeah.
And goes, I've got a big order, and then he puts his picture up. Is it a pizza shop? And then they did the thing with him going to wrestling students to try to humiliate them, tell them he told you that you could have his title one day. You will never have his title because you're nothing, and doing all that. And then he gets one of them to come down for a title match on actual NXT, and that's where Gargano appears. Was there any storyline reason for him not being around? Had he been beaten down or anything? Was it just we hadn't seen him for a while?
No, just not the time away. That's the thing with NXT. It's just short show. You don't see Cole. These characters are actually, you don't get to see them. He was very sparing. So it's cool.
I've mentioned this when I did the title belt video, which I'm sure Chris still hasn't watched, but I talk about how NXT is easier because you don't have to have them out every week. So you don't on Raw and SmackDown. You pretty much, for your main guys, especially your champions, you really need to write something for them every week, and that can expose things. Whereas NXT still has the feeling of early Raw, when you didn't always, because of course early Raw they still had, was it Superstars was the other show? Yeah. They still had Superstars and the odd other show Sunday Heat, where they could get people to come out. So you didn't always see everyone on the early Raws. And this is something, the early Raws, I wouldn't be able to watch the early Raws without the WWE Network. This is why, while I disagree very much with the WWE content at the moment for the main roster, I still think I still keep the network, because I can watch the wrestling that was before my time. I can learn a bit more about things, and yeah, I can find out just how bad early Raw was.
Network. It's class, such a great thing. Really is. In fact, the other night I couldn't sleep, and 4:25 Undertaker Shawn Michaels matches. I watched them back to back. They are two of the greatest wrestling matches.
Yes,
such good matches,
without a doubt, and they're so brilliant and emotional.
Yeah, the second one's just class.
But that's the end game of WWE, isn't it? Really, and I mean, as in Marvel Avengers end game of WWE, where you've got decades worth of story into this one match.
Yeah,
and that's how you. And there's not really many other mediums where you get that.
No, not over that amount of time. It was with the same character, but it is great. Even the first one, it shows you the story before with the Royal Rumble, the nod of like appreciation between them both, and then how that escalates to take a full 12 months. Shawn Michaels just be distraught to eventually get his to lose it and then retire it. It's great, it's cracking.
It was about that time that Undertaker started his decline.
Did you not watch? Was it Extreme Rules? And that was the last one.
I did watch Extreme Rules because I'm pretty sure I insulted you for a bit about that match.
It was good.
No, you know what? That was good, and as I said on the podcast, they played to his strengths there. You had Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre, who could do the bulk of the work, do the running and the movement. Undertaker did his bit, and then was taken. No, if any, he was allowed himself to be beaten up for a bit, to coast from Shane, and then he came in and cleaned house. He took Roman Reigns took the elbow from the table.
They put him through the table. Shane put Undertaker through the table.
Oh, it's Undertaker
on the table.
Where is Roman Reigns? Where did they take Roman Reigns out then?
Don't know, but they put Taker on the table and Shane jumped off the top rope, and then they also gave to Coast, and then he just sat up. Class.
Undertaker doing Undertaker things.
Just brilliant, mate. Honestly, the day he started that gong, and it was on Raw before then, like the 2 weeks before, just out of the blue, he appears, and it's brilliant. It's one of the greatest things in WWE that there's ever been. Is that entrance and the gong and the lights out? It's just incredible.
But then you get matches like the one at was it Super Showdown against DX with Kane, and that was just awful to watch.
That's four old men together, you know.
Well, like the Goldberg was two old men together.
Yeah, but Goldberg was knocked out.
I know, and I said that I defended Goldberg on the Extreme Rules podcast.
I defended them for that twice match. In like the space of about 10 minutes.
I made it very clear that it wasn't up to wrestlers to stop that match. You can't blame either of them for carrying on. You blame the officials for not stopping it. They should have stepped in. And it's Vince McMahon's mantra of a show must go on. Well, sometimes the plans have to change. And if the end of that match is we stop it for a bit and they both just to check them, and then we go, okay, maybe there's no concussion, they can carry on. Or you stop it and you have to go, okay, sorry guys, no match. And if the fans want to boo, let them boo. Doesn't matter, because the health of those two wrestlers, and it came very, very, very close to someone getting seriously injured in that match.
I agree.
But Adam Cole is winning this one.
I agree with you. Done.
Right, take a quick break. I'm going to pour my beer out and we will get back on with SummerSlam.
You're listening to Life Junkies podcast.
Right, and we are back. And Chris, shall we talk SummerSlam?
Yep, already, mate.
So, let's start with a match that is guaranteed to be on the pre-show. That is the Cruiserweight title match with ONeill versus Drew Gulick. I'm really excited about this, Chris. Are you?
No.
Do you know who ONeill is?
No.
So, he's an NXT guy, he's an NXT UK guy. He has been tagging with Danny Burch. They've had a few tag team title matches. So they started off as two different jobbers, and they became a jobber team. And then because this is the way NXT works, if you pay enough dues, have good enough matches, they will give you a chance. They had a chance at the tag team titles. I think they had two of them, because they had the one match, and then one of them got injured in the middle of a feud. So when he came back, they then had the second match. They didn't win it. They're not guys that can get pushed. They're older. Danny Burch at least he's British. He's a veteran. So that's my backing on ONeill. I quite like him, but again, I think we're in that transitional challenger phase, and I think Drew Gulak's going to keep the title.
I don't want.
I don't. He pops up on NXT every now and then as well. Has the odd match. I still think he's very entertaining in whatever, and he's been the man of 1,000 gimmicks in recent times. He was Enzo Amore's lackey for a bit back then. He was then became the no-fly zone guy who was anti-high flyers. I don't know what he's doing now at the moment, but he's So I think he's always very entertaining. He's very good, and he's a deserved champion. Shall we move on to the next match that I will put on the pre-show because there's no one decent in it. It's Goldberg versus Dolph Ziggler.
Never gonna be on the pre-show. Never gonna be on the pre-show.
Oh, no.
Never. You're kidding me. Goldberg.
This is a very random one, isn't it?
It's good though.
You know what? They've actually got me excited for a Goldberg match.
See?
I haven't been excited for a Goldberg match since ever. No, never.
No, that's not. I'm sure you're a bit young. You know, like Goldberg, Hogan.
I was nowhere near wrestling at that point. Back then,
See, when Goldberg came up through the CW, it was incredible.
It was
just a winning. It was incredible to become this and to beat Hogan at the title. It was. You should watch that. That's something.
Well, this is with the network. What I'm planning to do is go through and try and watch all the pay-per-views.
You're never gonna.
And then start watching ECW, Raw, and Nitro as they start. Oh, but I'm in the middle of doing a version of that with Marvel properties.
Yeah, but mate,
and I've made it all the way to Iron Man 2.
You know.
I know, I never. But it's just something to work through.
You just need to pick the stories. And watch just the stuff. So pick Goldberg. There's like a 2-hour spot that tells you everything.
I can't do it. I'm far too anal. I need to start things at a certain point and carry them on through. I know I never get there, but well.
Yeah, you should go back now.
Yeah, Goldberg Ziggler. See, when I first sat down to do the predict for this, I thought, well, what they'll do is Goldberg versus a younger guy. He'll give the younger guy a rub. But what we've got to realise is Ziggler's not a younger guy anymore.
No.
He's at least late 30s.
Yeah, I think Goldberg squashes him.
Do you really think? Do you think he comes out to squash Ziggler?
Yeah.
What's the point? Ziggler's got no name value. Surely you don't do this unless you're giving Ziggler a win.
No, I think this over the last 10 months, maybe a year, WWE have started the legends a bit more. You know, started bringing the older people back in, and I could possibly see Ziggler just going from one to another getting beat, but just bringing back a few. Because he has, I saw something the other day about him. It's like he's not a regular on house shows anymore. Is he a stance?
He's done a bit of comedy.
Yeah,
the main thing he seems to be doing, he's a political. He seems to be a political analyst for Fox.
Yeah, so it's like he's got other stuff. So I just wonder to keep him. I've just got a feeling they might need to eventually. I think he will end up maybe even fighting Shawn Michaels, but just coming off, running his mouth up, you know, just to get a leg, just to throw in like this. Fans loved it when Goldberg came out the night. I loved it, you know, didn't expect it. It's great when he's something like that.
Yeah,
I don't see what he gets from beating Goldberg. What does he get?
But what do we get? What do we get from seeing Goldberg get another win? And maybe
Nothing,
I'm jaded
just
because I
wasn't
watching when Goldberg was a thing. At any point, I've completely bypassed him. But I don't see what we get from him getting another win. He's had his Universal title win now.
Rub with the fans. I think it's just to get the legend.
Then this match doesn't need to exist. Then if Goldberg wins, this match has no real purpose, and you are keeping guys off the card that could be getting a chance to build towards something.
You know what? If you hadn't been Goldberg and been the Miz, would you rather watch Ziggler v the Miz or Ziggler v Goldberg?
I'm a big fan of the Miz.
Yeah, but that's a Raw match. You know?
No, because the Miz
Raw.
is one of the best things in WWE. He's one of the best on the mic. He made the Intercontinental title mean something.
Yeah, but it's still a Raw match. In fact, it's already been scheduled for the night after SummerSlam, Ziggler v the Miz. So it's just like pay-per-views are because you get probably sometimes a different audience and older fans as well. Throw in a Goldberg, throw in a Shawn Michaels, it doesn't hurt anything. In fact, anything you might attract people to watch it. You probably get more hits on YouTube and stuff like that from people to see Goldberg spear Ziggler and give him the jackhammer.
Talking of people that don't watch it, I remember when I went to see SmackDown Live up in Sheffield. This was the TV recording, and I remember the Undertaker. It was back when the Undertaker was good. There was a guy stood behind me who the only person he knew was The Undertaker, because
Yeah.
he watched wrestling during the Attitude Era and didn't watch it anymore. And I think it was mates who go, and so he thought, I'll go. So sort of it was that level of dude. So these guys are around that they only know these names, and maybe this could be a good way to bring them in. But bringing them back in only works if the new guys get in the win, because otherwise they see this new guy as nothing.
Yeah, but he's not a new guy.
But he is to the people that know Goldberg from back in the day.
No, I know, but he's not a new guy. He's disposable to the show. So I'm saying that's why they've not put him in against Ali, or they're probably going to push this year. They've put him in against Dolph Ziggler, who's not around all the time, or who's been around. The fans don't like. That's why he's up against him. So that's why I think, because they haven't put him up against Aleister Black. They haven't put him up against. They put him up against Dolph Ziggler to be beat, basically.
You don't like any of the new guys. You just like the old wrestlers. Chris just wants a wrestler he had back in the day. Chris wants a wrestling Brexit.
You know when Mick Foley brought out that belt, you know what title it was going to be? I was really over the Legends title.
Oh God, can you imagine?
That'd be class.
I genuinely thought you were going to turn around and say, I thought it was going to be your old hardcore title, because that's basically what a 27
really
title
hoped
is.
it was going to be like a Legends title, and they'd have one match per pay-per-view.
While we're on that subject, because we can't talk about it now, what do you think of the 24 title? 24/7 title.
Now Raw.
It seems to be one of the what I'm seeing is one of the most interesting parts of the show. What about Maria as the first pregnant champ?
She's lost it though.
Her husband pinned her while she's having a sinus cramp or whatever.
Yeah. I can see why they're using it, and I'm not against it. It's probably light-hearted.
They don't seem to quite be booking it like the old hardcore title was.
No,
that seemed to have a bit more reverence to it. This just seems to be.
It gets more hits, so it's obviously popular. You know when they do like an outline like on the airplane.
Yeah,
that's getting like mega hit. But yeah, it doesn't offend me. I'm glad they're not doing ring matches in the ring.
I think what you'll see is after this initial mad rush, when they're running out of ideas for this bit, it will calm down a bit and become more like the old hardcore title, where you're actually having proper matches for it, rather than just people pinning people everywhere.
Yeah,
you mentioned The Miz. What's going on with The Miz? Because I asked this on the Extreme Rules Review podcast. Like, he's just sort of was suddenly dropped. He was the big feuder with Shane McMahon. They spent a long time building that up from the Best in the World tournament all the way through, and then suddenly he's dropped without getting a win over Shane McMahon. What's going on?
He's not been dropped off TV. Every week he has on his show, chat show, Raw and SmackDown. But
what's he doing? Who's he talking to? What's the feud? What's his angle?
Ziggler, bizarrely.
Because he's the one that set this up, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the but he keeps banging on basically his show, peddling 7 day bit of chat on them.
But I don't understand why he would just drop the feud with Shane McMahon. That makes no sense. He was angry Shane McMahon had hit his dad.
Yeah.
He humiliated him in front of his dad, who he was desperate for his approval. Why?
Yeah, I know. Then they just dropped it, and now it's Kevin Owens and McMahon. It's strange. I'm also his wife's not put.
On that note, let's move over to Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens. You're a man on the ground when it comes to the shows. How have you found this feud to be?
Good. Kevin Owens has been. I've never been a massive Kevin Owens fan. He is hugely popular. He's been all right. I mean,
of course you're not a Kevin Owens fan. He wasn't big during the Attitude Era.
It's true, but he's trying to be like Stone Cold in the Attitude. You know, he's got the stunner. He's doing the anti-authority thing. He's running through the crowd. He's basically doing to Shane what Steve, the Vince, are trying to. And it's working. It's doing all right. He's good on the mic. He's a good wrestler. So it's interesting to see what happens here, because it's an I Quit match, and I can't imagine he's going to move over to Raw, because if he quits, that's what'll happen.
But can he just move over to Raw? Because Shane McMahon's on both shows.
He probably would.
Because this isn't when wrestlers, back when they had the proper brand split. You get fired from Raw and you show up on SmackDown the next week. Oh, they've signed me now. I'm over here. But it's not. It's still one big mess now, isn't it? Even though there's technically a brand split, there's not really.
No, not really. I don't see how he looks. He'll probably, even though he'll probably bound to see like a Drew McIntyre interfering and Elias interfering.
Surely the other option, and I'm agreeing with Kevin Owens, I think he's going to win, but would the other option for Shane McMahon winning not be that Kevin Owens technically gets fired and then just starts showing up at shows? And going, well, you can't stop me.
Extend the story any further, yeah, he could do that. It's one of them, it could go either way. I don't think this will be the end of the feud, whatever happens, because I think it's gone quite well. Shane's becoming a very good, because he's annoying people. He's trying to become his dad in the 90s, basically. Being the authority, everything should go. But yeah, I mean, it should be decent. I just will get it. We'll get the decision and maybe have to run out, chased out the McMahon's underling.
Brilliant. Shane McMahon, I presume, is a better authority figure than Stephanie.
Yeah, definitely, because you can hit Shane.
Oh, but that's the point, isn't it? You can never. Stephanie never got a comeuppance, and she would walk down to ring and she'd slap Roman Reigns or whoever and be this and that, and no one ever got any sort of comeuppance on her, not even verbally.
No, and Stephanie's kind of stepped back from wrestling. You very rarely see her now.
Good
I think she's more to do with XFL as well, isn't she?
Isn't she? She was head of something at WWE, something important backstage.
Yeah, she just doesn't have much time now. I don't see that.
Brilliant. So let's talk about, as you love stars from yesteryear, let's talk about another returner. This is Trish Stratus taking on Charlotte Flair. Why is she back? What's going
on? She's back because Charlotte Flair has no opponent for SummerSlam, basically. And they can't have a major pay-per-view without Charlotte Flair, given superstars. She made a point of saying she wanted some big match, and then they had bizarrely brought Jerry the King Lawler back the other court, and who did have as his guest, but Trish Stratus. So the minute you see that, you think, oh well, Charlotte Flair challenges her, she accepts. Yeah, we have a match.
Jerry Lawler, that famous cheerleader for women's wrestling.
Yeah,
he really.
Yeah, that's it. That's the one.
He's definitely not completely associated with the Divas era.
No. So that's how the match has come about. There's been a bit of spat ever since, a bit of chat. Bizarrely, they had.
This is the one where Ember Moon just got battered, wasn't it?
No, that was SmackDown this week.
That was SmackDown this week.
Yeah, they had. It bizarre. They teamed up Becky and Charlotte against. No, not Italian. Yeah, an Italian. I don't think Trish ever got in the delegate.
Oh, I guess they want to save her getting in the ring for.
Yeah, I mean she's 44, 45.
But she hasn't been, and this is what brings guys like The Undertaker and the guys that are wrestling regularly down, is that they are wrestling regularly. So she hasn't been wrestling. She retired, 10 years ago?
12 years since the last singles match.
She retired at 32, she retired.
It's
crazy when you look at the age of men, and we all know why women retire earlier than the men. Vince doesn't like to see women get older, we know that. But she must still have a lot in the tank if she wants to go, and she's a yoga woman.
12 years though.
She has dipped in and out though. But don't you think, as a responsible, and she's proven that she is a responsible wrestler, that she will be practicing with people?
Yeah,
do you not reckon that leading up to this, she would have grabbed someone that's on the sidelines or something and just had a load of matches against them?
Yeah,
in the gym or something.
You would have thought in the size of each other.
To do something that like she did is transition from being a model into a performer, because she and I still go with the argument that she set women's wrestling back, because for how good she was for the time, Vince then decided he needed 10 Trish Stratus models that he could mould, and she was a 1 in a million.
Can you remember making a debut?
No.
You don't remember how she?
No.
She came out. Nobody ever heard of her. She just came out during a match. Just test. Just like stood at the top, walked. Just came out.
Yeah.
And became them.
Albert, who is head coach at NXT or at the Performance Center. Yeah, no, it's he never managed to get someone like Trish, but to do that, you have to be diligent and you have to be determined, and so I will imagine she'll be practicing the ring. Also, she won't want to ruin her legacy. She won't come back for any reason. She'll come back to do something proper. Was the last match she had that one with Snooki and John Morrison or something?
Single?
No, not singles. This is a mixed tag team match. It's like
the last match she had was only about 2.
Oh, of course, she came out in the tag team. She was involved in that match with John Morrison versus Snooki and someone, when Morrison completely blanked her, like on the pay-per-view after they won, because Melina, who was his girlfriend at the time, was angry with Trish Stratus because Melina thought that was her spot, and Trish Stratus had just come in and took it, and he got in a lot of trouble for it. I think that was part of one of the things that led to him leaving. It's a shame, because I was a real big John Morrison fan. Cool. So we've both got. Oh, okay. You've changed your, literally as we've been sat, you've changed your prediction.
Yeah.
I've got Charlotte Flair winning.
Actually, sure. Just Dawn Canadian.
Do WWE love making people lose in their hometown? Have you not worked this out?
Yeah, but not people. All regulars that I reckon that can Vince, maybe even with she'll get away. Something will happen. Flair will be devastated.
No. Okay. Cool. That is your pick. If you want to be wrong, you can be wrong. Right. Let's talk next about probably the match that I'm second most excited for on the card. Finn
This
Balor
is the
versus
match that
Bray
I
Wyatt.
am the-
Yeah, but you know the other match that I'm excited for, and you know why I'm excited for it. This is really exciting. So this is the debut of a Fiend, otherwise known as Bray Wyatt. So I have been a Bray Wyatt fan all through, not when he was Husky Harris, but ever since he debuted as Bray Wyatt, I've backed him.
Yeah.
No matter what they did to him, I backed him, and I really hoped that the thing with Matt Hardy was going to be a springboard to become something better. His WWE title run was horrendous and led to a horrendous Randy Orton WWE title run. So this new character looks really interesting. I've been following the vignettes on YouTube, and he seems to be going the right way. He's got complete creative control over it.
Yeah.
And we all know he can cut great promos. He's very good in the ring. Bray Wyatt, Finn Balor is Finn Balor. He's also very good. This is going to be a cracker, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe. I think it's going to be a great spectacle. I think the match is going to be very short.
Oh, you think Bray Wyatt's just going to take him out and
destroy him, literally rip him to pieces. I think that's what's going to happen. I think there's no Finn Balor's going off on a break now. He said that himself. He's having some time away. I don't think there's any value in any way in showing the Fiend to get any kind of damage. I think he has to look strong. He destroys him. It might not even get to a match. It might be one of them where Balor comes out first, the music hits him before you know it. It's blackout, and he destroys him.
Do you not think I would have a slightly longer match? Maybe not a really long back and forth match, but maybe a longer match where Finn Balor is trying to rally against him. He's doing more, and his moves are getting more and more extreme as he's sort of getting desperate to try and get some advantage on the Fiend, and then Bray Wyatt takes him out. So you're looking at maybe a 15-20 minute match.
Oh no, I don't. I think
Balor trying to rally, not necessarily doing much damage, and he might get one shot, two shot, or I'm starting to build up some steam, and then gets taken back down again. And it's that, and the Fiend is almost playing with while he's doing all this stuff to try and build some momentum, failing at it, just to make the point that the Fiend is better than Finn Balor as Finn Balor.
No.
And then when he returns, it's the demon that returns, and then we have that brilliant match, a brilliant series. I reckon you get a series of matches out of these two.
It depends how long Finn Balor's out. I think Finn Balor comes back. Go see.
No, he's got to come back as you cannot leave a demon versus Fiend match dangling out there and not take it. Surely
It depends how far the Fiend.
On that point, is there not a massive logical error? Surely, if you're Finn Balor and you've got someone coming out as the Fiend, you would come out as a demon.
Yeah, but the demon hasn't. It's not. I genuinely think this is.
Well, no, but this
5 minutes max.
You're not coming out. No, I get it. He's not going to come out as a demon, but in kayfabe, that would be the logical decision. You're against this bloke that's a bit unhinged, who's in a mask, and is this character who's your character that unhinges you a little bit to come out your big game player.
Yeah, but like I said, I don't even see it lasting 5 minutes. I genuinely think it's one of. I'm really interested in what he's like.
I'm really looking forward to it. It's really.
I wonder if he's just going to appear. I wonder if Balor will come out first, and if he'll black with the lights, and he'll be on top of and go black again. He's on the top of the ring, to his move around, and then I just think he destroys him very, very quick, and that's it. Done. Then he just banishes, because that's how they have to build. They've put so much into this Fiend over weeks and weeks. They have to build and keep immense. Not showing any weak. There's no value in showing him even get any time, even being put on his ass. There's nothing there. He's off now, Balor. So you just literally destroy him. Look good. Move off. Monday on Raw. Pick on something.
Right. Cool. It's nice that even when we agree, we disagree.
Yeah.
Right, let's talk US title match. Ricochet versus AJ Styles. This is, of course, the formation of the original club, which isn't the original club. But anyway, I like having these guys back together. It gives the Good Brothers something to do. They've been underutilized in WWE.
I'm not sure about the face pick, but yeah.
So I haven't seen much of a face pick, and they've got a bit of an 80s thing going on, haven't they? I only saw it this week on Twitter.
Yeah, Gallows has started painting him, says it makes. But they are now the tag team champs.
Well, there you go.
I mean, they've all got good now. I don't see any value again in Styles in this back to.
No, none at all. Ricochet had that very short run. Interestingly, Ricochet has been comparing his situation to John Cena's situation when AJ Styles formed the club last time.
Really?
So it could be quite interesting to see if maybe John Cena makes an appearance at some point. Not if he's not going to make an appearance at SummerSlam, but maybe at Raw or something afterwards. He comes down to back up Ricochet, leading on to whatever the next pay-per-view is. I don't know what we're due for. Well, you should know, Chris.
They changed it.
Clash of Champions is next.
Exactly.
That was an old. Wasn't that an old WCW pay-per-view? Clash of Champions.
They're not gonna do like Survivor.
The last Clash of Champions was 2 years ago.
And who was the main event?
The main event 2 years ago. This is the third one under the WWE banner. The main event of the one 2 years ago was AJ Styles versus Jinder Mahal.
Champion.
No. Styles is the champion going into it. This would have been because it was, I don't know. This obviously would have been him ending Jinder Mahal's reign. And Charlotte Flair was the women's champion, SmackDown Women's champion, defeating Natalya. That was Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn defeating Randy Orton and Shinsuke Nakamura. The Bludgeon Brothers beating Breezango. God, Mojo Rawley was on that. Card.
He's just chasing the 24.
Because that's where they put everyone they can't think of anything to do with them. Because why let someone like Ethan Carter III mature on NXT when you could just chuck him onto the main roster and have him run around after a random title for all the time? So AJ Styles wins this one. Brilliant. Do you think there's going to be a tag team title match for the World Tag Team titles?
Yes. And
you think it'll be them versus Usos?
Yeah, because they always put...
The Usos are very good and they can get a good match out of a lot of people. They are surely they're the second best tag team in the company at the moment. The New Day. What?
The Viking Raiders.
The Viking Raiders. Are they actually doing anything on Raw? It was really useful, pretty points of them and the AO.
I imagine that.
I can't wait till they bring up Gargano and Ciampa as DIY and do nothing with them as well. Yeah. They're going to give them that one run before they retire.
But yeah, I will go.
Brilliant. We've managed to actually completely agree on a match. That's a first. SmackDown's Women's Title match. Ember Moon versus Bayley. As much as it pains me to say this, how much I love Ember Moon, Bayley's going over.
I very much doubt it.
These are two really good women's wrestlers, and Bayley.
Ember Moon is never seen.
She's in the ring with on Sunday night. She's not great on mic. I don't know what ring entrance they're using with her, but it used to be good on NXT.
She comes out and howls. Don't get it.
What they've probably done is they've probably done the same as they did with Aleister Black and campified it with, because he's got that machinery that they make the noise. It's awful. It's so 80s wrestling.
I love that, mate. I think it's got a good entrance.
I think it devalues his character.
I don't mind that at all.
So I presume because she's always had a bit of a werewolfiness to her gimmick, but I presume they've just exemplified the werewolfiness.
Yes, they have. She's just not very good. I just don't get it. I don't like Bayley's champ. Does nothing. She's just a nothing champion.
Bayley created a movement when she was NXT. She was the most over wrestler on NXT when she was there as champion.
Well, she died a death on.
Because they've booked her poorly. This is her chance. This is why I've gone for Bayley over Ember Moon. No matter how desperate I've been for Ember Moon to get this chance, Bayley needs this. They need to start building her properly, and I feel the way they have done it so far has worked. So this is the next. Ember Moon is basically a sacrificial challenger. She goes so Bayley can continue her rise as champion.
There is no rise because you always think to yourself, Charlotte Flair will beat. You know?
Oh no, that's the end game. Charlotte Flair will beat her, but you keep them apart and you keep them both winning. Like, Charlotte Flair beating Trish Stratus, and they keep building the stars, and then you have another big match between the two of them. Keep them apart until WrestleMania, and have them go for the titles at WrestleMania.
Oh God! No,
and Charlotte Flair finally wins.
Can't keep Bayley champion.
Bayley had it for over a year. I'm sure of it on NXT.
Awful.
You don't like nice things, do you, Chris? You really don't.
I don't like faces.
On to another match.
Can't tell you how pleased I am that Brock's champion. Honestly, I was delighted. Absolutely delighted.
You know what? Seth Rollins as champion seems to have died a death. It didn't seem to work.
Seth Rollins died a death. Becky Lynch has died a death. Bayley's died a death. Kofi's died a death. They're all terrible champions.
Becky Lynch is still over.
She's awful, mate. She just lost everything that she had. She was massive. She had such a pop, and now she's just...
it's been fairly poorly booked, isn't it? This is the problem. Yeah. All of them, Seth, Becky and Kofi, have all been really badly booked. And talking of women's title matches, I'm really disappointed that they took the SmackDown belt off Becky so quickly. I thought they'd at least, if they weren't going to merge it in the end, they'd at least let her have a run with two belts for a while. But as we've learned, they don't like to take a risk on stuff like this. It's similar to when Punk quit while being champion. They brought him back far too early.
They should
But keeping the money on the bank on someone is a heel move. Bailey's not a heel. She hasn't got that in her character.
Really. As long as she's not threatening, she could have just kept it. She could have still come out of that match, but just given her the championship so quickly, nothing bland. It's just killed it and killed her really. But then she's fighting Ember Moon, and again, she'd be terrible as well. So it's like you might as well keep on Bailey.
Brilliant. So we both agree with Bailey wins, and Bailey is brilliant. Cool.
Not the one.
Seth Rollins versus Brock Lesnar for the Universal title.
Yes.
I'm calling this now. Brock retains against Seth. It seems that Seth has been made to look like a bit of a chump on Raw the last few weeks.
Not a chump. That's just been destroyed, hasn't it? He got not blindsided, but he got caught short, didn't he? Because Ziggler grabbed out of his leg. Hell of a beating off Brock, and then he came out trying to be the fans' favourite, and even though he's injured, stumbled to the ring and then got beat up again. And then getting on the mic and saying, "I will." Did worry. Sure to God, Brock win. And then hopefully that's the end of it.
Well,
I'm sick of Seth. Brock should beat him and then move on.
Then we bring in Braun Strowman to beat Brock.
No.
Yes.
No. Braun's another bland wrestler. He's just big.
Brock's just big.
No, he's not.
Brock gave up trying to be an entertaining wrestler a while ago.
No, he's not.
Every now and then he goes, "Oh yeah, I'm actually meant to wrestle for the fans."
He's got
but for the rest of it, he had to put his no effort in.
You've got Paul Heyman with your gold.
Paul Heyman,
that's what he does well.
Like we both know from experience that is not correct.
It is.
Do you remember Curtis Axel? He was a Paul Heyman guy.
This is why when Ronda Rousey comes back,
I agree with that. He brings her back to challenge Becky Lynch
and win 4 months.
But yet Brock won't be champion.
Because again, there's nothing. Brock.
Have you not seen the gimmicks? He can do comedy. He can do angry. He can do threatening.
Mate, I don't want comedy from the champion. This is the good thing that Brock does. Just bad. It just destroys people to the champion.
The thing that Brock does is not showing up.
You can't say that.
Yeah, how long is it going to last for?
Oh no, I can't say that to buy him. Been on pay-per-view.
It's not about that now, mate. You learn from what happened in the past.
Just out there. Nobody.
There is, and we're going to talk about that man in a minute. But before we talk about that better champion, let's talk about Natalya and Becky Lynch. Raw Women's title. Lynch has got to win this, surely. Natalya being a transitional challenger again.
Yeah, again, the only one thing that might happen is that they're in the Hart family, and they're all going to be maybe.
I refer you to my earlier point where they like making people lose in their hometown.
I'm not saying it's likely in that he's flying there.
You got to feel a bit sorry for Natalya. She's constantly been overlooked. Well, this is the point. She came out in the Divas era, and in the Divas era, she wasn't pretty enough to be made champion. And then as the women's revolution came through and proper wrestlers, and for the Divas era, she was a proper wrestler. But then as people like Becky Lynch came through, Charlotte Flair, who were ahead of her, again, she's now overlooked because she's not good enough in the ring. And she's now a bit too old for Vince's liking as well. So she's used to mentor the younger girls and then get the occasional shot rather than being a proper champion.
Has there been rumoured about her because she was big friends with Natalya?
I can't see it. Rousey was meant to be leaving, looking at starting a family. I haven't heard anything about it since then. But
yeah, she was big mate. And those two in the title.
I feel like I'm your wife at the moment. Chris, you're not listening to me. They like people to lose in their hometown. So you bring something up that is 16 years ago, 26 years ago.
SummerSlam, that mate. SummerSlam, he beats Bret Hart, wins the title, loses it next night on Raw.
Depending on the dodginess of your dates, that is a quarter of a century ago.
He won the title celebration and they went to Bret Hart when it.
What we found in recent times is Vince has realised that people winning matches in their hometown is far too predictable. So instead of varying it up, he's just had them lose constantly instead.
1992.
So that's even longer. 27 years ago. Mate, I was 3 years old back then. 3.
Imagine.
Right, enough on what matches of the past. Becky Lynch is winning this one, right?
We need to do a new podcast.
Well, we watch well, what we might do, and I made a joke about this, that this may as well become the Live Junkies Wrestling podcast. If I do go through with that, and it's something I'm considering, and just doing the odd other podcast as a random one, I would quite happily start watching old pay-per-views and rating them, to go through and look at it through fresh eyes. I was thinking about doing a written version of that anyway. But that is another podcast for another time in another reality. So What has Natalya done to earn this title match then?
She got whether or not added. That is obviously why she's.
It does feel a bit like they've run out of ideas with Becky Lynch, doesn't it?
They've still amplified everything, and now she's not ripped lines, the same line.
Right, moving on to the final match of the night, the WWE Men's Title match, Randy Orton versus Kofi Kingston. I'm really looking forward to this.
I'm not Kofi.
Of course you're not, because you're a grumpy old man.
I've had it on Trumbo, crotch, the spinning, keeps diving. It's not good enough in giving it fan reaction, and it's gone on for.
When was the last time Randy Orton was good enough to be champion? His last title run was awful.
Now. He's right now.
Has he stepped up then? Because from what I've seen of him in recent times, he's been. The last time.
He's a proper hang your champ. I like that.
He is, but he's been phoning it in for a while now.
He has. I just think he's.
This isn't the same Randy Orton that was feuding against John Cena at the turn of a decade ago. No. They were, well, that was repetitive as hell. He was still a great character. They were still great matches. I haven't seen that from him. You know, I haven't seen him as being a proper main eventer legacy split up.
They've gave him. I mean, they've had a nice. We've seen the story behind it.
Well, see, again, I don't know what they've done on SmackDown. I've missed that, but this is 10 years of history in this because, and this is what I believe they've been playing off that match where he got angry with Kofi. I think what it was is Kofi got up from a RKO or something, or it was a curb stomp. I think he got up from the curb stomp when he wasn't meant to, and Orton got really angry, and you can see him, if you watch that match again, yelling stupid, stupid, stupid at Kofi. And of course, Randy Orton, we know him as being a very cool, calm-headed man. Definitely wouldn't fly off a handle. And went backstage, bad-mouthed him, and got Kofi Kingston push cancelled.
Which is the good thing, though.
But this is where the best feuds come from, when they do acknowledge this history that people have, looking back at the Matt Hardy Edge feud, which I loved. No, it's not. It's Kofi. What we're learning here is that you're more than happy to see people that just win every match, as long as it's the people that you like.
I'm not.
Well, that's what Brock was doing for a long time. And you were.
There's no champ. It's better. It's quite simple. I wish Brock was devastated. Genuinely.
Kofi Kingston has been one of the most entertaining wrestlers in the WWE.
Yeah, he has. He's entertained for a while. Mid-card level. Come on.
Just imagine if Randy Orton hadn't buried him 11-ish years ago. Well, no, but he was being moved and was going to be a main eventer. That was the. So if he doesn't get derailed, then you might have had 10 years of Kofi Kingston challenging and winning titles.
They've gone on long, really. Not like rather than Kofi.
That's because Kofi Kingston he's at the top, and like Samoa Joe hasn't been booked properly for a long time.
Samoa Joe.
Well, you're not. That's what I agree. I want someone like Samoa Joe to be the one that beats Kofi Kingston. Randy Orton is the last person I want to see win.
Samoa Joe's never going to be champ, I've decided, because he used to get beat week out. Joe, it don't matter. He just gets beaten.
Joe's problem is that he has name value. He's great on the mic. He's great in the ring, and he has an imposing, if yet quite round physique. So it's going to take a lot of wins to lose that mystique. This is exactly the same issue Bray Wyatt had, because he was this imposing figure, especially with the Wyatt family around him. Vince saw it as, well, I can make him lose. I can have him as being the gatekeeper to the main event. And that sort of a position Samoa Joe finds himself in, floating around. He's getting a few shots, but he's never really getting any momentum behind him. Even if his title run wasn't a long one, and he didn't get momentum because he lost it in the middle of it as well.
Yeah. I've put Randy up.
I don't want to live in a world. I don't want to live in a world where our two main champions are Brock Lesnar and Randy Orton. I'm not here for that.
To be honest, the only way that could be better is.
Oh God, it's been a while since Undertaker's had the world title, hasn't it?
He's never done the big.
Well, he did. Do you remember when he's having the feuds with Batista and Edge and stuff? And there's one with CM Punk as well.
Long runs. Drop it. The thing with the Taker is that he was always a big draw anyway. He never had to have the title.
Which is what they've seen Braun Strowman as a bit.
Braun Strowman just. Bobby Lashley.
I've broken Chris.
Just Bobby Lashley.
No, I'm not having that. Braun Strowman is far more interesting than Bobby Lashley.
He said about to be the worst champion. Terrible. I don't know what we're going to do with them. It's like, what's his face gone? Sullivan vanished.
He got in trouble because comments were dug up by him making some very homophobic comments.
No, really, I didn't know that. I wondered where.
Yeah, quite aggressive comments. He got in trouble. You sort of feel sorry for him, but then the comments were horrendous. But he's just, of course, he had the anxiety issues and the mental health problems, and he'd just come back from that. He was just starting to come back, and then these comments resurfaced, and I think they fined him, and I think they just put his head down for a bit to let it blow over. I'm not a big Lars Sullivan fan anymore.
But they just started building him up.
I know.
They just started giving him some things. I just want to.
Yeah, that's why he made some. I think there were some other. It was a lot of bigotry, a lot of very, very bad bigotry, and it was on somewhere like 4chan or something like that. Somewhere there's a lot of it. He wasn't the only one making the comments, but he did make the comment.
The one match.
Who's Roman Reigns going up against?
They've not said yet about Daniel.
I can't see Reigns being. Of course, he's in the. It was the attempted murder angle, so I keep seeing.
I think Buddy Murphy said it was Rowan driving the.
It can't be that simple.
Can't imagine they're going to give Rowan a push, so it must be Daniel Bryan.
It can't be that simple, can it? It's got to be someone else, and this is a case of mistaken identity or something.
Well, that's why I swear.
Yeah, the whole angle seems to be weird, and I don't know if there's a company. There's a site called Kayfabe News, which I could maybe put jokey WWE articles out. And when WWE.com released we've had an investigation. It was a faulty forklift. It was an accident with a forklift driver. They put up an article of Kayfabe News take your day off as WWE managed to satirise themselves. And it's talking about this accident just happened. There's a camera on the actual rigging that managed to catch it falling down on Roman Reigns. Multiple camera angles of everything happening.
Although, to be fair, on the car one, they actually did something different. They actually didn't cut straight to it. And they actually said, we're trying to get cameras sent out to the car park straight away,
What car one?
Because normally they'd just cut to them, but this time they didn't. They were like, we haven't got cameras out there, we'll get them sent straight away. And they just crowd shot, which I thought, when I watched it, I thought, they're trying to make it look.
What car one?
When Roman Reigns got run over on SmackDown.
I didn't know he got run over on SmackDown.
Basically, Samoa Joe's in the ring saying, "Where's Roman?" He's accusing me of the runners says he's just pulling up Samoa Joe outside. Michael Cole goes, "We haven't got any cameras out there. We're trying to get cameras there right away." But then they have to wait, and then they cut to a camera running down the corridor to find as Roman in the car park gets out of his car, tries to dive through his car. The car smacks the side of it, and the car backs off and drives off. It's like the second attempt.
Oh, that's quite interesting. I hadn't realised that had happened on SmackDown.
So that's why they were saying might have been Roy, I think. But I talked about this on the Extreme Rules podcast when I was talking about the Braun Strowman versus Bobby Lashley match. Yes, I heard of.
And it's that added realism, just of that. And what happens is when you have these multiple camera angles, I've seen the video on YouTube of the Roman Reigns attempted with a scaffolding falling on it. It just takes you out of it a bit.
Yeah.
For me, anyway.
Yeah. But that's what they did, so that was quite good. So, is there going to be a SummerSlam card with that, Ron? I doubt it.
Probably not.
It's just being announced as the front of box.
One thing I would say is, with Roman Reigns, when he came back, he wasn't clear he was in remission.
Oh, yeah.
And that's an important point to mention. But you don't know how much of a toll that has taken on him and what else he's doing. So it might be that they're just giving him a bit of a rest for a while, which is why he's doing skits on SmackDown rather than matches and stuff like that. So that might be another reason why they're doing it. But just take us back to the match we were talking about. I've gone for Kofi Kingston to win and to retain his WWE title. You've gone for Randy Orton.
So hope.
Because you thrive in misery and despondence.
I do. It will be a great night if that happens.
Any more matches that you think might crop up on the card?
No, I think we said they'll I can't imagine the format. Them SmackDown or New Day. The New Day haven't got a match. Unless it's New Day v the Usos, somewhere, just something. There'll be no title change.
You seem really keen for the Usos to be on this.
Because they're on everything to get a big push. Not that what they'll be on.
No, they're in trouble at the moment, aren't they? Have they been on Raw and SmackDown recently? Because Jimmy got arrested. I think it's Jimmy's the one that keeps getting himself arrested.
It's still been on.
Literally like 2-3 days after John Cena came on and made the joke about him getting arrested, he then got himself arrested.
But no, they've both been on. But yeah, there will be a tag team with the Cruiserweight. And then, like I said, just him. They did actually say that Aleister Black against Sami Zayn was going to be at SummerSlam.
See, why no Black? Because he's one of the most exciting wrestlers going at the moment.
Because, bizarrely, they then put it on SmackDown instead.
Whereas you've got guys like Cesaro.
Cesaro's been binned off a bit because he's lost to Black to Mysterio, I think he did. So he's kind of dropped back a little. But yeah, Aleister Black, because Aleister Black cut a promo, and then Sami Zayn went, I'm sick of his whinging and whining, what he needs to get beat. I'm the man to beat him. I challenge him at SummerSlam. So I thought, oh, that's a match. And then they fought on SmackDown, and Aleister Black won.
Who's the IC champion at the moment?
Shinsuke Nakamura.
Oh, he's still got it.
Yeah, he could be on the undercard, maybe, against Ali.
Has he improved at all while he's been IC champion?
I've only seen him a couple of times. He's been very Shinsuke, but same kind of thing. It's a bizarre one, really. I thought, given the push that gave Ali on his video, that he would come back and win that, actually, but he's been beat 2 or 3 times now by different people.
Because they can never give us anything nice. You know how this works.
I don't like Ali either, so to be honest, I'm more than happy to disappear.
Of course you don't. He's not a big, muscly, grumpy man.
What happened to Rusev?
No, they don't like Rusev because he keeps saying things and getting himself in trouble.
He's vanished.
And Lana appears to be trouble as well.
Yeah.
So I don't think they've got a future. I think they'll wait until the contracts run out and they'll go to AEW.
Yeah, it's a lot of people. I don't know, but no. I mean, other than Roman Reigns, I think that'll be the card. It's a decent one, decent card. Not sure how many titles. We'll see. I mean, Goldberg's on it. So.
Brilliant. Right, let's do the outros then. Social media. You can find me, Brazier25, on Twitter and Instagram. You can also find the Life Junkies on Twitter, _Life Junkies. That's where you'll find, or there on Facebook, which is the Life Junkies 25 on Facebook. That's where you'll find any tweets about articles or podcasts, videos, anything that goes up. You'll get I do weekly playlists, or I try to do weekly playlists. So I'm trying to ease myself back into it. You'll also see we'll hype up stuff by people we work with. So when Chris releases new posts on his Football Manager blog, you'll see that. You'll see my post from my Football Manager blog as well, which is on Great Case Rense site, and other people that have been on the podcast. We'll big them up as well. Anything that I write, you can find on the LifeJunkies25.wordpress.com, and of course you can find back episodes of this podcast on YouTube. You won't find them on the podcasting app. So if you're listening to us on whatever, on your device, on your local Apple provider, music podcast provider of choice, you won't find any back episodes, but you'll find it all on YouTube, minus only episode 14. And if you're watching on YouTube, you'll find there'll be a video somewhere, as well as the playlist on YouTube. Chris, do you have anything you want to talk about?
No, that's everything. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thanks for finally coming on.
No, man.
Hopefully I'll manage to twist your arm and get you to come on next week, and we can review this, and I can talk about all...
I can't wait. Oh, actually, I might be washing my hair now. Given I haven't got any hair, that's...
Yeah. Brilliant. Chris is polishing his head next week, so it'll just be me talking about Kofi Kingston's great. It'll be an hour-long podcast about how great Kofi Kingston is.
I can't wait to see the download numbers on that one.
The downloads are pretty low anyway, mate, I'll be honest. Right. On that note, good night.